INEOS are getting it all wrong. And as Manchester United fans, I'd say yous are worried. The cost cutting measures, the sacking of Dan Ashworth, the signings they made in the summer, the handling of the Ten Hag era or management, whatever you want to call it, it is worrying times. And we need to look at some of the decisions that they've made so far and some of the potential repercussions of what that might look like in the future, because right now it is going badly wrong at Manchester United. There could be some light at the end of the tunnel, so stick around to the end and we'll talk about that as well. But let's get into it. So as we all know, Manchester United are a huge club, but they're also a club in a lot of financial trouble. And we obviously see the cost-cutting measures that they're taking right now, and it is a necessary precaution that they need to take, because there is a lot of issues going on financially with Manchester United, even though they are one of the most lucrative clubs in the world. So if we look at it here, as we all know, they've took away the Christmas party, which definitely wouldn't go down well for a lot of United employees, because it seems like something so small in the grand scheme of things, where players are getting paid 350,000. But they've also gone another step and removed the £100 bonus and replaced it with the £40 M&S voucher, which is just, it seems like, how many employees would United have? So like they're basically effectively saving £60 across everything. They might have something in with an M&S that they're able to get at a discount rate. I don't know, but it just seems like such silly things to do. You're losing so much goodwill internally, but I could say you can only imagine that the culture at United is already toxic enough, and doing all these types of things is not going to make things better. And that's one thing that they should be fixing. They should be fixing the culture first, and then they should look at trying to make costs better, because doing it this way, I don't think in the long term is gonna work for them. And they've raised the ticket prices for children in Manchester United to £66, which didn't go down well. They've obviously had some big redundancies, and I know players are going to have to go soon as well, but it is a big issue, and to be doing it this way doesn't seem right. But the one thing there that people need to take into account is, I get people going on at INEOS, but people need to remember and realize we're in 700 million of debt and owe 470 million in debts and owed in transfers. If we don't make tough decisions now, the club could be gone in 10 years. I don't think the club will be gone in 10 years, but definitely they could get penalised with the way FFP is at this moment. But it's definitely not going down the right way. And yeah, just to go to like the funny side of it as well, obviously INEOS come in. You get that initial rush of, we're so happy, we have new owners, the Glazers are no longer in charge. INEOS come in, and Dan Ashworth, who was one of the most sought after people in world football as a sporting director, comes in, and after 5 months he leaves. Like, that screams worrying signs at Manchester United. How can someone that you touted for 5 months, you went on gardener leave, you paid 5 million to get him, and he's not even at the club as long as you waited to get him from Newcastle? Like, this is just some of the stuff that United fans were saying. We're so back, I better not wake up, it's going to be a dream. We are moving, we're so big now. Like, this is why you just can't get ahead of yourself in football, because you don't know what way they're going to come in. And with a club the size of Manchester United, it's hard enough running any club, but a club the size of Manchester United, it takes time to get it right. And right now, INEOS are not doing that. And just to kind of talk about some of the issues that you could look at with INEOS is, they have managed a football club before, and this is the worrying thing I would be looking at if I was a United fan, as well as the stuff that's already gone on. INEOS have managed Nice since 2019, and they have had 7 managers in 5 years. The coaches didn't last 2 full seasons under INEOS. Ten Hag, Ruud van Nistelrooy, and Dan Ashworth are gone in the space of weeks. The Glazers are still here. So you can see a list of the managers that they've had at Nice. So one thing you could look at and say, they're not afraid to make changes when they need to. But the other thing is that when a manager is sacked and when a managers are there for short periods of times, it screams 2 things. You got the decision wrong, or long-term planning is not right at your club. So Nice seem to be going down the wrong path at this time. And if you look back at the Ten Hag thing, they were looking for other managers, didn't get any of them, and then they said, no, we're going to stick with Ten Hag. 10 games into the season, 200 million spent in the summer, Dan Ashworth comes in to support him, and they then go against his wishes to sign Ruben Amorim, and now he's gone. Like, it's kind of a similar pattern in terms of like the decision making at Manchester United. So that would be a worry if I was a Manchester United fan. I'd be looking at that, and I would be worried. Some news came out then from a pretty respectable journalist in Florian Plettenberg. And he said this: internally, Manchester United agree that over half of the players in the squad are serious candidates for sale in the winter or summer if good offers come in. Ruben Amorim is to be given the opportunity to make a rebuild, which will require urgent sales. So they need to sell players to get in the players that Ruben Amorim wants. Currently, players considered unsellable include Diallo, Mainu, Mazraoui, De Ligt, Yoro, Onana, and 2 or 3 other key players. So players like Rashford, Bruno Fernandes, they could be on the cut list. And I think it makes sense. You have players on massive wages that aren't putting in the performances that you would want. And players like even De Ligt, who I haven't been that impressed by. Yoro, they signed for 50 million in the summer, and he was on a free transfer they could have got next season. Now, I know Real Madrid are interested in him, but that's still not a good sign in the grand scheme of things. He's an unproven 18-year-old who got injured in the first 2 or 3 months, so it remains to be seen whether he can perform. But this is a huge job for Ruben Amorim, and INEOS now, what they have done is they've spent 200 million. They've sacked the person that they thought they were going to be able to bring in and get the transfers right. And now they have January and the next window for Ruben Amorim, where they're going to have to start getting things right very quickly. We've all heard about the players need to be moved on, but this isn't the same squad that, say, Jose Mourinho had or Louis van Gaal had. This team has changed a huge amount. They gave Ten Hag a huge amount to invest. Like De Ligt is his player, Mazraoui is his player, Martinez is his player, Onana, Højlund. You can go through a lot of the players. A lot of them are Ten Hag's players, and a lot of them signed the summer. So the big worry would be is that are they going to go and repeat the cycle again, which it looks like they might do, depending on how INEOS have taken the decision so far. But don't just take it to me. We can listen to this clip from Rio Ferdinand talking about the situation and what should happen.
Dan Ashworth, his departure from Manchester United. Confusion is the first thing that comes to mind. Like, I just hope they're this brutal as they have been with the staff that have been there for years and that they're culling, right? I hope they're this brutal with the players that are there.
Yeah.
If there's any players that are there, and ones that have either been there too long or the ones who just ain't good enough,
gotta go, bro.
be as brutal as they've been. Get them the fuck out, quick, ASAP. And I hope they're like that. For better or worse, at least they've made a bloody decision. That's the way I think about it. But you look at the things that are going on, I think there's a lot of noise around the club. Ticket prices now going up. There's been laying off of 250 plus staff. And again, it's like they're very definitive and they're very like, right, we're doing this, and we don't care about the noise.
So yeah, that's a good point just at the end from Rio Ferdinand. They're very definitive. They don't care about the noise. So they're making tough decisions, you would say. But in the end, is it compromising the culture at Manchester United? Because I think it is right now. And even though these are tough decisions, there's players there that they need to sell and they need to shift on. If they're selling the players, at least you could say, okay, they're selling and moving terrible players on. So these additional measures that they're taking are to help with those costs. But right now, there's still some players that are on massive wages that need to be sold, and they haven't been able to do it in the last transfer window. And they've signed players and put them on big wages that haven't been able to perform so far. So we'll wrap it up then. Mark Goldbridge has his thoughts on the situation. Amorim has my full support. Very few of these players do. INEOS need to stop sacking low-paid backroom staff, hiking up ticket prices on fans, and start booting out these overpaid jokers. We pay Mo Salah wages and get Mo Farah performances. He always has a way with words, Goldbridge does. But he's right. Players like Rashford on 350 grand a week, although Rashford, I think, can add something to the squad, there's no way he should be on that type of money. And United have this whole dynamic now because they went off and they paid massive wages to some players like David De Gea, Rashford, Bruno Fernandes on big wages now with his new contract, and they're not getting the performance that they need out of those players. And what happens is when other players see them on massive wages, when you want to attract new players into the club, they want the same types of wages or near enough to it. So it is a big, big issue for Manchester right now, and they need to start making decisions that are going to affect them on the football pitch, because that's, at the end of the day, is going to be the thing that matters most. If you're winning games and you're doing all these types of things, it doesn't have as big an impact, but they need to start getting it right on the pitch. But let me know your thoughts in the comments. Are Manchester United going to get back to winning ways under INEOS, or are they going to continue to struggle like they have for so long with the Glazers? Right now, it's not looking very good, but maybe a few big decisions that they can get right and they get a bit of momentum going. I'll be interested to hear your thoughts in the comments. And as always, if you enjoy the content, make sure to drop a like and subscribe, and I'll chat to you all in the next one.